Hi, this is Junaid, neurocritical care stroke and epilepsy specialist. I am so grateful for Maria to come on this show and explain Alternova to us. Look, I'm going to be very honest with you. I have no financial interest in this particular company. I will not get any kickbacks. I wanted to showcase Maria and Alternova because of their amazing efforts. There are three claims to fame. Number one, work with high-end universities like Stanford, UCSF. Special concentration on neurology and psychiatry and neurosciences in general, and a background in gamification. These three skill sets, these three qualities bring Alternova to a different level in terms of mobile application development, and they have good team behind them, which is generous in their time as well. Their CTO that I've personally spoken to is amazing. So great team, great experience, and great skill set, as I always say. Maria has been a good friend and an advisor to me personally, even though that I'm not using their services because of personal reasons, as you know that I have multiple areas in which I function. The one more important thing that I wanted to do is they are the back-end providers of Cardinal Kit, which is truly a game-changing open access software that has been able to not only create more and more softwares on top of that, they provide a layer for future companies to be successful. And that's why I love this, because of their open access, open source software development process as well. So without further ado, I'm very grateful for Maria to join. Maria, can you please first share your contact information and then a brief introduction, and then we'll jump into our discussion.
Absolutely, and thank you for having me. It is an honor for me to be spending time with you and sharing a little bit about our purpose and our mission in this very, very meaningful industry. So here's where I can be reached, and also our CEO, CTO as well. My name is Maria. It is a pleasure for me to be here today. So thank you for the time and for the openness to share a little bit about our story. My name is Maria. As I already said, I am the Chief Growth Officer at Alternova, and we are a software development company that specializes completely in digital health.
As you've seen me talk about digital health transformation of healthcare, mobile applications are now the forefront of this transformation. And we are seeing that more and more digitization of healthcare happening, and we are finally moving towards healthcare 4.0. Digital health products are a little different than regular software service products. They're more comparable to financial products in terms of needs for cybersecurity, legal structure, better interoperability, etc. However, they also bring in a further bigger layer of human interaction, which is more complex than banking solutions supposedly. So therefore, interactions in terms of making user experience better is extremely, as a matter of fact, the most crucial part as well. And I will hope that Maria shares her gamification and gamify journey through the process as well. So I'm very grateful. Thank you for sharing the contact information. So first, tell me where you're from, what led you into this particular field, and what have you done in the past, and what are the future prospects?
I am originally from Colombia, and my partners and myself have been always video game fanatics, video game fans, video game believers in the power of interactive technology and mainstream technology, and I'll go there in a second. So when we started Alternova, we wanted to build a company around using gaming engines for solving real solutions in real industries. We didn't study in healthcare, so the story of how we ended up there is looking for a mission and looking for a higher purpose. We started in the real estate industry, building VR experiences and interactive applications to showcase properties before they were built and to enhance the customer experience of buying an actual property. We started in that industry because my partners and myself, our families have business related to real estate, and it was easy for us to identify a problem there that we can solve or that we could solve using or powered by gaming technology. So we started growing, we started having interesting clients in the construction industry, and at some point we realized that it wasn't enough, that we weren't feeling fulfilled enough, that we didn't have enough of a reason for waking up in the morning. So we started asking ourselves, how can we keep developing the technology that we love, but solving more meaningful problems that are going to make humanity a little bit better than we found it. And that if we die tomorrow, then we left the world being a little bit better than it was before our time. So It was honestly a little bit of serendipity as well, and our desire to find that purpose, that we met a neuroscientist at UCSF who needed an expert video game development company in the serious games arena, which is just using games to solve actual problems. And we met him, and he gave us the opportunity and opened the door for us. He saw the experience we had using gaming engines in serious games for solving actual industry problems. And he gave us the chance, with zero experience in healthcare, to work on a digital therapeutic video game that we have now been working on for the past 7 years. And that's how we started working in healthcare. And I can share my screen and share that video game, because this game is starting its process for FDA approval right now. It has been licensed by a company called Akili that already has an FDA-approved video game for intervening ADHD. And this game that you're seeing in my screen right now is a cognitive diagnostic video game that played for around 30 minutes and can diagnose many variables of how your brain works. So it can tell you how your cognition works, how your memory works, how your attention, the coordination between your senses, your goal management, and many other variables that you may know better than I do. And this is how we started our story in this industry.
Correct. Cognition has many different aspects that you have to account for: visuospatial, verbal, memory, etc. And I believe that you're absolutely on the right track of using a gaming sort of situation in which not only can measure one-time event in terms of cognitive assessment, but also a longitudinal assessment of cognitive improvement or decline as we move forward. And that is one of the most important hot topics currently in digital health, as we have an aging population around the world. Right? I mean, it's just not in US, UK. I mean, population is aging in Colombia and Pakistan, everywhere. And we're seeing the dual burden of disease from communicable diseases to non-communicable diseases like Alzheimer's, neurodegenerative disorders, etc. And this is definitely the need of the time. And yes, I agree. There was recently an ADHD game that was confirmed to be FDA approved. And now we're seeing also from a virtual reality experience, pain management, virtual experiences have been approved by FDA. So this is becoming a new arena for both digital diagnostics, as you can see in this particular situation, where you can have early detection, which is extremely important to develop new therapies, may it be digital therapeutics or even biologics or even pharmaceuticals. But these kind of assessments are extremely important for us physicians on a longitudinal basis to evaluate our patients' decline or improvement, and therefore create therapies that can intervene early. So fantastic work on that particular subject. I love it that you're looking at this, and clearly this is the future as we move forward. So this is another thing. Before we move into Cardinal Kit and your approach at Stanford Biomedical Design Lab and their particular product, I want to ask you about like novice people, right? I mean, let's say there's a person who has a completely new idea and they have to develop a product. It becomes an extremely sort of daunting task for them, especially in digital health. Let's say, what would be the top 3 things that they have to be mindful of in terms of creating a digital health product as compared to any other product? I would say that where your experiences and your expertise come in would be extremely important.
I would say top 2 things: engagement, I would put it in the first place; compliance in the second place; and constant iteration and listening to the user in the third place, and user-centered design, which is tied to engagement as well. So as I said at the beginning, it is not easy to develop technology in healthcare. It is very regulated, it is very data-driven, and that the data you're collecting through a healthcare application is sensitive data that, if in the wrong hands, can be used for non-meaningful purposes. So it is very important to find or to put your soul and your technology in the hands of people that understand healthcare and that have the processes in place to respect the data that is being collected through them. Healthcare is an industry that needs engagement, needs technology that is designed, and experiences in general, not only technology, that are designed thinking on the person or the stakeholder going through it. So not only the patient, but also the physician and also the administrative people that are very, very important to make healthcare work. So healthcare needs a user-centered approach, and I think that's something that the industry has finally started taken seriously. And the reason, in my opinion, is that we are all, if we can call us customers or clients of this industry, we're all humans, I would say. And the consequence of being human is we're fallible. We are not invincible. We're gonna die at some point. So all of us are gonna go through different sorts of healthcare experiences. And what could be more important and kind of a bigger reason for just thinking how we can enhance healthcare experiences to make them enjoyable. Dying should be something that we don't look at with fear. It should be something that we should make a beautiful experience. And same as having a pain or a chronic condition. I mean, it's just a reality. So why don't we make it more enjoyable and easier for people to go through? So that's why healthcare needs to think about how we can make those experiences enjoyable and not see them as, oh my God, I don't want it to happen, because it is going to happen. So why don't we make it easier?
So true. Absolutely. I mean, amazing. So she pointed out on three things. Number one is the move towards from sick care to healthcare. Living with chronic conditions is what we all are going to do. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you have to listen to my prior lectures, I've constantly iterated that the highest amount of cost burden to healthcare is going towards chronic conditions. And we need more and more sustainable methods in acquiring data to manage them at home rather than at hospitals. And of course, in that regard, needs a complete transformation, a digital transformation of the user-patient experience. So that's number one. Number two, it clearly suggested, and for the physicians who are looking at this, the term in software development you use is CD/CI, continuous development and continuous improvement. That is the cornerstone in terms of product development in healthcare. And that's why you have to sometimes partner with software firms that are working with you as partners rather than developing just a static product that cannot be improved. So it is extremely important when you are looking at these processes in your own design implementation or working on a new product, you are not just looking at a static object as this is going to be be all and end all, and that user experience you're going to get some way to get a feedback of how to improve that user experience and then act on that through continuous development and continuous iteration and continuous improvement. So that is extremely important, as she suggested. So in the last point, what would be the next sort of frontier in terms of, in your opinion, being you're at the cutting edge of the industry, like how is the industry more shaping in terms of how VR, AR is going to come into play, or in short, where is the industry going, and what do you see as the biggest challenges at a level of industry, and then we can come back to at the level of United States.
I would say that it is a challenge, but it's a great opportunity. And I think where Alternova wants to participate, and the reason why we focus in developing like mobile and web applications, is that the future in healthcare is leveraging mainstream technology in health's favor. What I mean by that is just creating technology through devices or through experiences or through wearables that people already have access to without building something outside of the ecosystem of technology that they are already using and implementing. That's the reason why mobile technology and gaming technology are, in my opinion, a big part of the future in healthcare in terms of democratizing or scaling access to healthcare services. Because we all know that building more hospitals and having more physicians is not going to be the solution. I think it has been already massively discussed, the shortage of health practitioners and health infrastructure, and it is just impossible to solve healthcare or to guarantee healthcare access through training physicians or building hospitals. So I think the way to scale services, and more so in the neuroscience, neurology arena, is through leveraging mainstream technology. So delivering healthcare services and healthcare diagnosis and healthcare intervention through pieces of technology that people already carry and use every day. That's why mobile devices, and more so as they decrease in cost, wearable devices are going to be, in my opinion, the next thing or the next wave of healthcare. And I see that also as something exciting because it's gonna, in my opinion, empower patients over their health, right? It's gonna give them access to data in a way that they can understand. And I think we're getting better in terms of giving the patient insight and not only data about how their health is going. And I think that's going to shift also the healthcare industry into a preventative mode and into a health, like taking care of your health and not taking care of your illness mode. So to summarize the answer to that, I think the next big change in healthcare is going to be using and leveraging, like in a big scale, mainstream technology. But there is a challenge also there, which you asked for, which is how do we implement and use in a seamless way those pieces of technology into the workflow of healthcare, right? Because it's very complex. So we can start building solutions that are very useful, but if they're siloed and if they don't integrate into an actual healthcare workflow, then we have a problem. And I think that's going to be an interesting challenge. How do we implement those different solutions into a continuous workflow?
Oh my God, yes. I have identified that, what we have been looking at as far as transformation of the industry as well. A major shift from sick care to healthcare, from disease to wellness, towards using these ambient technologies that we are now varying and using all the time ourselves. I mean, the amount of Wi-Fi connected devices in my house, even 4 years ago was 4 devices, like main laptops and stuff. Now, literally, there are 132 devices that are connected on my Wi-Fi network today, including bulbs, cameras, air quality sensors, name it. There are so many different devices that are connected onto my own house that are completely changed the way that I have generated data, right? I mean, I used to generate a little bit of data. Now I generate tons and tons of amount of data personally through my wearable devices, mobile devices, security systems, cameras, etc. So absolutely, we need to use those currently available technologies, which are sharply dropping in prices. I mean, you said wearables when the prices are going to go down, but I mean, if you see how the prices have gone down, you can now have a lab grade gyroscope with pulse oximetry device that can be made around $20. So this, I mean, I understand Apple Watch is different in category, but at the end of the day, the wearable market has heated up. And as a matter of fact, it's going to be $36 billion industry by 2026 and nowhere to be stopped. So clearly, this mobile and wearable will be the first step. Now, since gaming is your thing, and I am unfortunately I've never been a gamer, but I did order an Oculus. It's on the way. What is your perception in terms of both virtual reality in terms of human interaction? I mean, generally this is being talked about, and then health interaction. First, virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality.
So I will complement the facts that we're sharing about wearables and with this one, which is more than 3.5 billion people in the world play video games on a regular basis. And what that means is that the world likes games. And if you go back to the science of what a game is, and let's go to the Oculus next, or to VR and AR next, a game is just an experience that in this case is digital, and that experience is composed of mechanics, so your interaction either with a screen or with a headset, even moving parts of your body, right? So as immersive as it goes, and it's going to be way more immersive with time, for sure. That you go through, right? It's an experience you go through. It's just composed of code, right? It's built by code, but in the end, it's an experience that has the capacity, as every experience we live or go through, to change or modify your brain. So if you go through trauma, or if you meditate daily or on a regular basis, it's gonna like modify how your brain works, right? Potentially in a great way. So the science behind that is, how do we mix those things? How do we mix mechanics? How do we mix sound? How do we mix art? How do we mix story in the right way that can modify your brain and help it learn? So how do we create a workout for our brain. And in the case of virtual reality, it's even more powerful, right? Because you're completely immersed in an experience, right? Sometimes going through a VR experience, you cannot tell like what reality is anymore. So that has a lot of power. So if science is getting to a point where it can prove what's the combination between all of those pieces that create a digital experience that can help your brain learn. So I think that's just, that's absolutely mind-blowing, because how can you go through an experience that you enjoy and at the same time teach your brain something new?
Beautifully said. A workout for the brain. Amazing. I love that line that you just said. First time I heard it. You are so right. I mean, not to get into the philosophy of things, but what you exactly suggested, that especially when our movement is going towards wellness, we have to design experiences that are scalable. Right. I mean, that's the beauty of anything digital, that you can control C, control V, and you can implement it at millions of people at a very marginal cost as compared to any other technology like building brick and mortar hospitals. And these kind of interactions and experiences will not only bring much needed data, therapeutics, etc., but also will bring joy and experiences to people that will help them in their daily life. Especially some of the projects that you're doing have to do with cognitive assessment and more importantly, mental illnesses, including ADHD, etc. These open up corridors for interactions at a digital level, which can be more sometimes meaningful for those people. And who are we to say anything about them? Because some people are shy in general. And these things, especially, believe it or not, one of the biggest mental illness pandemic or epidemic that has been going on is loneliness, and nobody knows that, right? People talk about ADHD, depression, etc., but interestingly, around the world, I mean, it's less often in Colombia and Pakistan, but it is a big problem that we are facing. And just being able to have this community of virtual people and your interest groups can at least get rid of one epidemic, which is loneliness. And then, of course, that interactions can further lead to more interactions. And therefore, as a consumer, human patient can engage more and more into your health as compared to just
mentioned or touched upon something
beautifully
that I see as one of the trends in healthcare. And it is, I think healthcare is going to be the new social. It's going to be the new Strava of the world, and it's gonna facilitate social connectedness between people that are going through the same experiences without stigmatizing them, or that's what I like to believe. And the power of technology is useful for that, right? Because it can be connected to someone that is going through the same experiences in a different part of the world through technology. And that is something that the gaming industry also can cross-pollinate or teach the healthcare industry in a very meaningful way. And it's that this capacity to create community, create connectedness between people that can be in different extremes of the world. And I think that's something that also should be leveraged, connected to your point of like social isolation. You can use technology in a way that can connect people in a meaningful way, if designed, going back to the point of designing it, thinking about the user in a meaningful way. So I think that also technology can facilitate that community creation or social interaction between people or patients specifically that are going through similar situations without stigmatizing them.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well said. Now, I'm going to go back, unfortunately, towards Wearable and your project, Cardinal Kit, which we initially connected with. And of note, she was able to help me connect with more entrepreneurs, digital health experts. She has recommended, of course, Digital Medicine Society, which I do recommend, and Health Tech Nerds, which is another society that is fascinating to make networking and connections and communication. So I'm always grateful to Maria about not introducing herself, but also introducing me to a variety of entrepreneurs working on different digital health products, which some of them she has been helping. So going back to Cardinal Kit, tell me the story. I'm so always
Absolutely,
intrigued about it.
Story. So as we briefly said at the beginning, Alternova is a company that develops products and platforms in healthcare. We do have a big specialization or a big love for therapeutic games because of all this potential that we have been discussing. We develop all sorts of products and platforms for different healthcare stakeholders or companies. So we work heavily with academia, so with research centers that are developing technology for actual clinical research that we develop for them. And through that path, we met some leaders of the Center for Biodesign at Stanford that came to us, and we were through different discussions discussing a problem that is every time that a researcher, every time that an entrepreneur or a clinician wants to start a new digital health project or product, they need to start from scratch, right? They need to build all the backend, to build all the application to make it compliant, look for a developer that knows how to do that, wait for months, even for years, to develop just a simple prototype of a mobile application, to deploy it and use it. So to summarize, it's very expensive, it's very time consuming, it's very risky to build digital health products and platforms and applications, especially in the mobile arena, right? Because you're collecting such a massive amount of data that you need to be careful on how that data is collected. So these Stanford folks were asking themselves, how can we build an infrastructure that is open source, that is available for the digital health community, so we don't have to start from scratch every time that we're building a digital health application? And the response or the answer to that question is Cardinal Kit. Cardinal Kit is a set of open source tools that you can use to build a digital health application from scratch. So the application itself, the pipeline of data collection behind that application, the server that stores the data in a compliant manner, and the dashboard that showcases the data that you're collecting through mobile applications and wearables. So this set of tools has a template of a mobile app that if you're a researcher or if you're an early stage founder, you can just take that template, it's completely compliant, modify the user experience, and have a prototype of a digital, even a product that can scale into an actual robust digital health product. So just modify the UI UX of that mobile application and have a compliant digital health application already built in weeks, instead of spending months developing an actual mobile application. And that application is connected can collect automatically all the data from that particular app, plus all the healthcare data that your phone already collects, plus the health data that is collected through any wearable or medical device that you have already connected to the phone. And what Cardinal Kit does is it takes all of that data automatically and it transforms it into Fire. So you can do analytics with all of that data from different sources, and you can also connect to an EMR and generate interoperability, which is one of the things that we keep talking about.
Beautiful, yes. The only issue with Cardinal Kit, unfortunately, that I hope to do work one day, is that it is not an Android application. It is purely an iOS development kit. And as a matter of fact, it has a very deep dive into the data that is collected at a very deep level in terms of raw data that you can pull through Apple Watch, other wearables, iPhones, etc. It beautifully connects with HealthKit, which now connects with openly with Cerner applications. And then, as I said, it has a very important cloud infrastructure that is already built in. Currently, you can have a business agreement with Stanford, or you can import it into your own cloud if you want to. And then lastly, it has a few user experience development kits also available that you can adjust, change according to your needs and quickly launch a product. With that Cardinal Kit, an iOS application that, in my opinion, could have taken at least somewhere between 9 months to 18 months, can literally be done in 9 days. So this is an experience. This is a product, open source, open access product for anyone to use. Is an amazing achievement in its first place. And the amount of care, the amount of work that has gone into it is fascinating as well. And the amount of detail and the user experience, even the cookie cutter dashboard that comes in, is better than some of those high-end digital health products that I've seen. So it is also beautifully laid out, which of course you can improve on if you want to. So I'm very grateful that you worked with Stanford Biomedical Design to work on this project and then bring it to the public. Anything else you would like to share with our audience?
I would like to share that the Android version is coming soon. So it's going to be available. And yes, you touched on that. Android is the most widely used mobile technology. So definitely the world needs it in Android version for sure.
Yes, it will be under an open source umbrella, or will it be a
for sure? It's coming. It's coming.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Definitely. If you can showcase one more product or video if you want to from Alternova, I would give some time so that we can see some of your other projects as well.
Showcase this video that has a little sample of different types of products.
Yep. Digital therapeutics is one of the key areas in which the use case is going to be one of the most important in terms of both not just therapeutics, but diagnostics, and more importantly, early detection and early diagnostics. We're seeing this more and more coming both, and as our devices improve, especially with Apple and M1 chip and M2 chip and all that, the power of these devices, especially compute power with relation to electric power that they need, is going to empower more and more devices to do more and more. So, yep, this is the future, both from a hardware and a software perspective.
True.
Tell me about Brain Balance.
So Brain Balance is a center that treats or that works with kids with different behavior challenges. They have centers in different parts of the country. And what we have been doing for them is rebuilding their entire set of apps. So both the ones that kids use at home to work on different exercises and the ones that professionals use physically at the centers. And it's powered by gamified exercises.
Beautiful. Amazing. Fantastic work. I wish my mom had that for me.
Because I have ADHD.
Decentralized clinical trial platform. Wow. So you have worked on that product as well.
Yes, we built this RCT platform from scratch that allows for people to participate in clinical trials from home. And it is specially adapted to video games so that data can be collected with no latency in clinical trials.
Beautiful. And this is, of course, the Cardinal Kit that we were talking about. This is a little nugget
from how the application works. The template.
Not only that, it has a fascinating, I think, Slack community that you can get help from. So it's just not that it's a good product. It's just like there are passionate people who are behind it to help achieve your particular product.
That is exactly the power.
So, and there's a lot of students that are using
enhancing a piece of technology. And I think that's going to be a very necessary play in health, I think.
This is how Google made them shift and then took the crown from the established players like IBM and Microsoft, like the power of open source and open access. And finally, the whole pivot from Microsoft was towards open access because of the same reason, while buying GitHub and everything. So some of us doctors are also a little technology geeks as well.
Absolutely. And that's why our philosophy is to use only open source technology, only open source languages.
No, that's one of the reasons that I brought you onto this, that you're not just building a product, you're building open source platforms. That's the key thing. Not just platforms either. You're also building platforms that can be reusable, especially considering that democratizing is very important. And of course, we have to use the same engine, but you have to use it in a local sense. So I cannot translate the same spatial orientation into speaking population because their visual spatial is very different experience. So we have to build a completely different thing, or same thing with the language. But at least the core background, the back-end process, the cloud infrastructure, all those things are taken care of. Yeah, that things are at least solved so that I can concentrate on the front end, the actual issue, rather than spending tons of times on the back end processes that you have already solved.
Concentrate on the product and on the
I am
data
extremely grateful. Correct. Which is the key thing, right? Yeah, making sure that the data is useful, meaningful, and then actionable at the end. I'm so very happy that Maria took the time to talk to me, and very grateful to your company, your products, especially the open source ones and not open source ones, just to showcase what technology will take us further. I will leave her information in the show notes below so that you can get in touch with her. She is an amazing human being and always generous with time for new founders if you're interested. Again, very grateful. Thank you so much for coming.
I'm honored to be part of it and to share time and dreams about how healthcare should be transformed and enhanced. and we should all be part of a little bit of that. Thank you so much for having me.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
If you save a life, it is as if you saved the life of mankind. Please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel and my newsletter. If you want to get in touch with me, the best way is to go through Twitter or via LinkedIn. Also, make sure you follow the Academy website for regular updates. Thank you so much.